What is up, good people of the world? It is time for the second edition of the Behind the Glass cast. It's a tongue twister, fellas. It is a tongue
twister. It really is.
Like Behind the Glass. I'm not sure if it's just a stream, a podcast, a video cast, whatever you want to call it. But I am joined today by Anthony Antonelli again, and for the first time making his debut appearance on the Behind the Glass cast, it is the guy, the man, the myth, the legend, Earl the Pearl. Earl, we're going to let some people get in here, trickle in. We're not going to get into it right away, but this was your idea to do last week, and then you bailed on us. So how does it feel to be making your debut, retribution debut on the Behind the Glass cast?
I'm tired. I got a busy schedule, but I'm here with my guys. So we're going to have some fun with this. I think this is something that's going to grow. We're going to have for a long time and get the people what they want. So here I am.
Absolutely. If this link is live, should we tweet it out in threads? Should we put a thread out? I tweeted it out earlier, but
I tweeted it out. I keep forgetting.
I did tweet it out. Now we're gonna get to basketball in a sec. I promise. We'll give just the people just a second here to get in. So be patient with us for 1 sec. I'm gonna see if I could copy a link over to threads. There's no desktop for threads yet, which is a pain in the ass if we're being totally honest. But I'm gonna copy this link. I'm gonna see if I can post it in threads from UCSS, the first ever UCSS thread. Let's see if we can make this happen. We might be able to, might not be able to, because guess what? Threads is brand new. I got to figure out how to get on threads from UCSS though. I made it, and then it stopped allowing me to log in. So we're gonna see.
Nope. Social media team on it. Stat.
Nope, can't get in. Is what it is. So all right, we won't tweet it out, but we are here to talk about the Cavs Summer League debut tonight, the debut of Emoni Bates, among others. They are playing the Brooklyn Nets, 8:30 NBA TV. A lot of us will be streaming it illegally. It is what it is. That's what Summer League is for. And I want to start with this, Earl. Before we get into any specifics, before we get into any players, before we get into any individual matchups tonight for the Cavs and just elsewhere around the league, we touched on it a bit in the show, but what is your general takeaway of what Summer League means to you when you watch as far as evaluating a player?
I mean, overall, I just think the Summer League gives you the opportunity to see the young talent that's on each team. I know for the Cavs, for example, of course, Emoni Bates. You look at somebody like Sharife Cooper, another guy like Isaiah Mobley, and it gives you just some insight on what their development looks like in the offseason and who possibly can step in later on during the season, whether it be by their own player growth or injury to another player, and can help the Cavaliers out. So it'll be interesting to see, what the young group looks like. And then the coaching staff as well. This is where a lot of the assistant coaches get the opportunity to shine as well. So to me, this is where the nuts and bolts of your team is put on display. And, you get to see these young guys and these young coaches come together and try to do something special to see what they can do to help the Cavs when the regular season comes.
And before I let you answer that same question, if you are watching, put something in the chat. Let us know the chat is working. We've had some issues with the restream update. Just want to know you're out there and that you guys are actually here. We are going to participate, read as many viewer comments as we can fit in, and answer any questions you have about the Cavs Summer League, their game tonight, or any of the players on the Summer League roster. So if you're one of the people out there watching, okay, Freddie B's the first one to comment. So we are going to take some questions later, but that means the chat is working, and that is what we needed to know. Freddie will answer your question in a sec. But Anthony, what's your big takeaway of Summer League in general?
For me, this year specifically, it's all about just getting excited. We had such a bad taste in our mouth at the end of that Knicks series. It's time to just look forward. I'm really excited to see what Emoni's going to do in Summer League. I'm still not sure how I feel about Strus playing tonight, but I'm excited to see him in a Cavs uniform.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Strus in a sec. I think I fumbled my words on the show when I said this earlier about Summer League, but I don't let Summer League sway my opinion of any player individually. I just let it kind of confirm what I thought. If a guy goes off and plays unbelievable, That doesn't mean he's an unbelievable player and it'll translate to a real NBA game. If a guy plays terrible, it doesn't mean he's going to be terrible. But if I had a gut feeling on a guy and he goes out and plays well, then it gives me a little bit of confidence that, hey, what I saw in college or what I saw in the G League and the skill sets that I do think are transferable to the NBA may have some staying power. I'm going to read you guys a couple names, and I want you to tell me what these guys have in common. Are you ready?
Hit me with
Let's
this.
do this.
Josh Selby, Randy Foye, Ian Clark, Ray McCallum Jr., Lewis King, and Trendon Watford. What do those 7 names all have in common?
I've never heard of any of them.
Second round picks.
They were all MVPs of the Summer League or championship game MVPs of the Summer League. So mind you, guys that show out and show up in the Summer League don't always mean they're going to be phenomenal basketball players. Now, no disrespect to those guys. Josh Selby was a top 5 recruit coming out of high school, never panned out in the NBA. Randy Foye was a top 6 pick in the NBA draft, decent role player for a couple years, and never really caught on. He was from Villanova with those early 4-guard lineups. And Lewis King and Trendon Watford, he actually won the MVP last year, so he didn't play in the NBA. So just want to set that precedent that just because you dominate in the Summer League doesn't mean it translates to an actual NBA game. I also want to read you 2 more stats, and I want to know if you guys can put these stats to a player's name. One recent player in a 3-game stretch in the Summer League shot 12 of 52 from the floor and 3 of 24 from 3. I'll say that again, 12 of 52 from the floor and 3 of 23 from 3 in 3 Summer League games. Do you guys know who that was?
How recent are we talking?
Last couple years.
Fred VanVleet.
Maybe Jordan Poole.
It was Trae Young.
Oh.
So listen, you could be bad in Summer League and be a very good player. You could be very good in Summer League and not be much in the pros. So just keep that in mind with everything we say. If Emoni Bates or Craig Porter Jr. or Sam Merrill looks phenomenal tonight, awesome. Be excited, but it doesn't mean it's going to translate. If any of them look terrible, don't be discouraged. It happens. It is what it is. It doesn't mean they're a lost cause. So I want to start with this, Earl. They do play the Brooklyn Nets tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We know the roster. We will get to Bates second. I promise you we will spend a lot of time on Emoni Bates. Outside of Emoni Bates, who is the one player on the Cavs Summer League roster that you are most looking forward to seeing make his debut tonight?
Man, that's tough. I think it's a toss-up for me between Sharife Cooper and Craig Porter Jr. Sharife Cooper, he was with the Charge last season, balled out during the season. I think he had a game where he scored like 45 points. We know this dude can play basketball, so it'd be interesting to see what steps he has taken. And then with Craig Porter Jr., undrafted kid out of Wichita State, signed a 2-way contract with the Cavaliers. A lot of people believe that this is a major steal and that his skill set is a little better than Emoni Bates, to be totally honest with you. So 6'2" guard, he's a pure scorer. It'd be interesting to see what he can bring to the table and see if he can make the team. And if he can't make the team, then find him a spot, with the Charge so that he can be with the G League program and continue to grow his game.
And
Porter Jr., Earl's been talking about him since we picked him up. He walked in the day. He was like, that is the biggest steal. I think we talked about it with Evan from Locked On Cavs. Everybody, he mentions it almost every single day in the office. I want to see what he's talking about. I'm excited.
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, Craig Porter Jr. was an undrafted guy out of Wichita State, a bit of an undersized scoring guard, but the dude can light up a scoreboard in ways that not a lot of other collegiate players did last year. Now, one thing with second-round picks, and Jason's talked about it, Evan Damerol came on, talked about it. When you get to that back half of the second round, picks 45 through 60, a lot of guys tell teams and a lot of agents tell teams, don't draft me. Like, I want to go sign where I want to sign. Don't draft me. And it feels a little backhanded to be an undrafted guy, but that means you get to pick your situation. And I'm not saying Craig Porter Jr. was out here telling teams, don't draft me. But I think he looked at the Cavs as an opportunity and a place where he could go and make a roster. And a lot of guys do that because if they get selected to a team, let's say it's a guard. We'll use Craig Porter Jr. for example. If he went to a team that had a bunch of young guards like OKC, for example. Well, there's not a lot of room for a second-round pick to ever make that roster. But you look at the Cavs situation, and outside of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell and Mitchell's contract situation, we don't know how long he'll be in Cleveland, for better or worse. I don't want to open that can of worms here, but outside of those two, there's not a ton of young talent stacked up between him, wherever he is now in the pecking order, and cracking that roster as a third or fourth guard. So Craig Porter Jr. is a guy who potentially could have been drafted, probably talent-wise should have been drafted in the second round, who I think fell to a very, very advantageous situation here in Cleveland. And Summer League plays exactly into what he does best, which is score the basketball. A guy I'm looking forward to tonight. And we're going to touch on all these guys, don't worry. But I really want to see can Isaiah Mobley ball. Now, he was a second-round pick last year. He was the 49th pick last year, ironically, the same pick that Emoni Bates was this year. And he played a few games in the NBA, but mostly was in Canton with the Charge, even though they play in Cleveland. Why do they still – or is it the Cleveland Charge now, right? They changed the name. It's the Cleveland Charge.
I think it is the Cleveland Charge.
I think it is the Cleveland Charge now.
They play their games at CSU.
Yeah, they play the games right down the street. It's as close a facility to the NBA arena as any G League team in the entire country, which is pretty beneficial. You could go back and forth and catch games, and for guys practicing, they go back and forth between both and participate in both. But I want to know if this dude can actually play or not. I'm not saying he was picked 49th last year to give Evan Mobley a friend. Like, I'm not making that assumption. He was Isaiah was a talented player, obviously a four-star recruit coming out of high school, a pretty effective, efficient guy at USC. But can he really play? And I don't know the answer to that. And in the second year, coming out of college, making the jump from being a rookie to a second-year player, as a big man, that's where you should be able to dominate in the Summer League, because there's not a lot of super talented bigs in the Summer League who come back and play. These guys, their bodies wear down. A guy like Wemby is going to play a couple games and then probably shut it down just to preserve his body. Can Isaiah Mobley come in and assert his dominance in a way that I think not only physically, but at this point, mentally and skill-wise, with a year of NBA development, he should be able to show off a little something. And if you add him to the rotation of the Cavs bigs, if he gives you just a little something as your fourth, fifth big behind your Allen, your Mobley, your Dean Wade, whoever that stretch four ends up being, if they add someone else, and the guy they just signed, James, I drawn up my guy's name, center. Damian Jones. There it is. There's a little something. So I'm curious to see the steps he took forward from year one to year two.
You made me think about something when you said that. We talk a lot about the second round picks, and a lot of people believe second round picks, they're not really good players. Most of them won't make the roster. They end up overseas. And then a lot of the times we go through the history of the NBA. But I think that we need to remind ourselves how much basketball entirely has changed, right? A lot of these guys are coming out of high school and they're in college for 1 year and they're coming to the pros. But when they're coming to the pros, their body's not developed. Their basketball IQ really hasn't developed. They're just going off of raw talent. And so what it looks like from the outside looking in is that Kobe Altman has made the decision to, take some flyers on some of these guys that's raw, but has a lot of upside, a lot of potential, and just develop them, with the Cleveland Charge and through the G League, and see what he has as far as talent 2 or 3 years down the line. We talk about Isaiah Mobley specifically. He's a big man, and we all know, like, traditionally throughout the league, big men take a little bit longer to develop. So, yeah, he got some playing time last year, especially towards the end of the season. He did look good when he got out on the floor. So it'd be interesting to see how much he's developed from then to now, and see if he, too, can earn a spot to help the Cavs, because one or two of these guys pan out either this season or next season, then it gives you a little bit more roster flexibility, I believe. So,
and there's one other second-round pick from last year I really want to talk about. But, Ann, I want to ask you this real quick on Mobley. Evan Mobley, and Earl, you've said this many times, like, I'm not 100% positive he has that killer instinct in him. Just take it or leave it, whatever. I'm not sure he's ever going to be the alpha dog of a team. It just doesn't seem to be in his DNA and his personality makeup. This is a situation where Isaiah Mobley, as the legitimate veteran of this Summer League squad, I'm not counting Max Strus. I think he's going to play tonight and we won't see him again. I think Mobley has a chance to be the one guy with really the most NBA experience on this Summer League roster to kind of be the alpha dog of this team And I don't know if he has it in him, but if I see a little bit of that dog in Isaiah in Summer League, then maybe I'll be a little more inclined to believe there's that ounce of that gene in the Mobley DNA that we can see Evan develop into down the road. Anthony, is that crazy? Is that thought possible? What do you think about that?
I don't think it's crazy. With Evan being the older brother, you would think it'd be in him, and I would hope that he would have shown it by now. Isaiah has a chance to show it and at least show that they have that capability, but being the younger brother, I don't know. I feel like if they had it, it would be in Evan. Evan should be the one running that duo.
Isaiah is the older brother.
I am.
Isaiah is the older brother.
Isaiah's older
brother. Isaiah is
never
older
mind.
than Evan. Yeah,
I had it backwards in my head.
Isaiah spent 3 years in college. Mobley only spent 1. So
I had it completely backwards in my head then. He might then. I mean, that might be the older brother might have it in him.
Yeah, we're going to see. Because like I said, I think he will be one of the veteran leaders, and he's going to get his chance to play. Like, this is an opportunity for Isaiah Mobley to show the world what he has, what he can do, and if he has a chance to become some sort of contributor on the Cavaliers NBA team moving forward. We'll get to Bates in a sec, I promise. But one more guy from last year's second-round class I really want to touch on is Luke Travers. Anthony, are you guys familiar with this guy's game at all?
I'm not.
So he's a 6'7" wing, essentially. But he plays point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and power forward in the NBL. He plays in the Australian Basketball League. He signed over there for a 3-year extension last year. He has an easy out. If the Cavs want him to come to the NBA, he essentially comes over. He's 22 years old. He's big, pretty athletic, very versatile, and he's kind of built in the same mold as a Joe Ingles type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Ingles, who played, for the Bucks last year. He's with the Magic now, made most of his career money and earnings and reputation in Utah with the Jazz, and was a very versatile, efficient, effective player as an off-ball creator. And when I look at this Cavs roster, you know who the guys who are going to have the ball. It's Mitchell and it's Garland for the majority. But if you could have a 3 who can be a secondary creator off some backside action, it opens up everything else. The Cavs hope that's what Max Strus is. And Max Strus is a much better catch-and-shoot guy than Luke Travers. And the chances Travers plays in the NBA this year, probably slim to none. I'd probably say it's less than 5%. But he's in the mold of a guy who would be the perfect 5th complement to how the Cavs run their offense. Like, imagine Kyle Anderson, slow-mo on the Timberwolves?
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine how he would fit in as, all right, the ball gets kicked around to the corner. Even if he's not a great shooter, he's talented enough to take 2 dribbles and kick it out for an extra pass for an open 3. And I think Travers has all the skills like a Joe Ingles, like a Kyle Anderson, like an old-school Hidu Turkoglu in a sense, to be that extra 3 playmaker more than a shooter. So that's another guy I'm looking forward to tonight. He's 6'7", 215. He's a big-body dude, so I'm excited to see how he plays. And he has a mullet. So be ready for great flowing Australian hair.
He's going to be an all-star
on the court. Yeah, he was the 56th pick last year. Didn't see a single minute in the NBA. He played overseas, but he's a guy I'm also looking forward to. But for the main attraction, all eyes tonight are on Emoni Bates. Let's be honest. We can name the other 14 guys on the roster. What happens to Emoni Bates? Oh, wait, he cut the hair?
He cut the mullet.
Oh, no. Oh,
unfortunate.
No. I'm not excited to watch Luke Travers play anymore. I'll be honest. I'm not excited to watch Luke Travers play anymore. But no, in all seriousness, I do think he has the skill set to be an efficient player for the Cavs, and especially in the Summer League. Just watch how smart he is. You can see guys, especially on this level, the guys who think and process information quick stand out because a lot of these guys don't, and that's why they're G League players, NBA hopefuls, and not NBA players. Watch how quickly Travers processes information and makes decisions, and I think that'll be something that stands out in the Summer League. Earl, though, it's Emoni Bates time, baby. The 49th pick, former number 1 overall recruit. He finished his high school career ranked as the number 5 recruit in the 247 player rankings, went to Memphis for a year, transferred out, went to Eastern Michigan, fell in the draft to the Cavs at 49. Tonight is his debut, and your expectations for one Emoni Bates are?
I'm better off just telling you what I'm looking to see from him.
What do you want to see?
And for me, a lot of the knock has been, well, he doesn't do well, playing team organized ball. And so I want to see how he plays effectively with his teammates on the court. And then I want to see him defensively. I noticed when he was asked about the two things that's his primary focus for his rookie season, he said, putting on some weight, getting bigger, and then the defense. And him saying that, it told me, okay, he's buying in already. Not too many guys that's offensive killers or considered to be offensive killers come in talking about their defense. So it tells me that he's buying into the team concept and he's trying to get better. He has the mental aspect to get better. But it also tells me that he's confident as hell in his offensive game. And so when he get out there today, I just want to see how he moves off the ball, how he runs whatever set plays that's ran, and then how he defends, how well he runs the court and things like that. If he gets some buckets, I'm not going to sit up here and, go too crazy like I told y'all. And if he go out and he scores 6 points, I'm not going to overreact to that. But the things that I'm looking for inside the game is just how he interacts, how he fits within the offensive scheme. When there's a play call for him, how he runs that set, how he moves without the ball, and then how he defends on the wing. There's a lot of things that's special about him, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing him play tonight.
And we'll do predictions after this, but in the vein of what Earl said, what are you hoping to see from him? Keep the points out, keep the numbers, but what do you want to see from Bates?
So I'm going to be focusing on his decision making on offense. Actually, a lot of the scouting reports said he is a true scorer, but he takes bad shots and he's not super efficient about it. I want to see him making good shots. I want to see him cutting off the ball. I want to see, like you said, how he fits into that team aspect and what choices he's going to make. That's going to be my main focus. He could drop 35. I want to know how he drops 35.
Yeah, that's a valid point. And I think for me, I'm right in line with Anthony. I want to see the shot choices that Emoni Bates is willing to take tonight. Once again, not a knock on Emoni. This is just kind of the reality of his situation. In high school, when you're that good, you get away with taking any shot you want. Plain and simple. No coach would be like, that's a bad shot because you're the best player in the country. When you go to college, and I'm going to reference his Eastern Michigan year here, the game starts at 8:30, by the way. I saw that in the chat. 8:30 on NBA TV is the official start of the Cavs-Nets game tonight. When he was at Eastern Michigan, there was no such thing as a bad shot for Emoni Bates. Very rarely did the coach pull him if he took a bad shot. In tonight's Summer League, I think he's going to be able to get away with taking some bad shots because it is Summer League and you want guys to showcase what they can do. And Emoni Bates can make very difficult shots. That is what he probably does better than maybe everyone outside of 2 or 3 guys in the entire draft class. But I want to see if he has the self-awareness and self-consciousness to pass up some of those bad shots to make the right basketball play. We've said this time and time and again. And I'm going to ask the chat, if you're listening, do you know the difference between a hooper and a basketball player? Give me a 1 if you do, a 2 if you don't in the chat. If you do know the difference between a hooper and a basketball player, let me see a 1 in the chat. If you don't, let me see a 2 so I can help explain it. But Emoni Bates right now is a hooper. And there's nothing wrong with being a hooper. It's just hard to be a hooper on a team with a couple other hoopers when you're not the star. And Emoni Bates at this point of his career will not be a star on the Cavs compared to Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland at this point of his career. Mm-hmm. He's a hooper. He has to learn to become a basketball player. And we're not going to find out for sure in one game or in one summer league or in one preseason or really in one season. But I want to see at least that his mind has started to click on the fact that, hey, I have to be a basketball player to impact this team's wins and losses. That's what I want to see tonight. Will he pass? He's going to take some bad shots. Fine, cool, no big deal. Can he make the split? I see you, G. Bush in the chat as always. Can he make the conscious decision to be a basketball player or show some of the tendencies to be a basketball player as opposed to just being a hooper? So that's what I hope to see from Emoni Bates tonight. On the flip side, the Summer League sets up perfectly to display his skill set. Literally perfectly. Teams don't play a ton of defense. It's up and down. It's who can make tough shots. And guess what? Emoni Bates fits that to a T. There are certain guys who may stand out in the Summer League for other things. There are certain guys that can show out because they're going to put up a bunch of points. And Emoni Bates fits into that category. It would not surprise me in the least bit if Emoni Bates scores 20-plus points tonight, based on the fact that this style of basketball in the Summer League fits exactly how he plays the game today.
I think for me, and you did some deep diving into, some of his game film. He's 6'9", and the dude can take you off the dribble in a ridiculous fashion, right? The things that his crossover combination is crazy, out of this world. Being able to get to the basket, can pull up from anywhere on the court. The dude has every offensive skill set that you're going to look for, So it's just about basically building that basketball IQ, like you said, shot selection, being in the right place at the right time, understanding who's your man, etc. Like just learning how to be a pro. And, a lot of people feel like that he's going to have a hard time doing so. I don't think so, man. Like I've told you all before, on the show, you can't measure heart. You can't measure like having that chip on your shoulder. And then the fact that he said he's back in love with basketball. So that plays a huge role into it too. And I think just being in the right situation around the right people, man, in the right time of your life, in the right season of your life, like all things have to come together for something to work, especially with a guy like this who got a lot of chips that it seems like they're stacked against him. So I just want him to come out here, man, and just show, he has what it takes to be a pro, points aside.
I want to read a comment from G here. Shout out to Earl with the crispy HD camera. You got the nerve to try to be somebody looking like Earl DeBarge out here. From G. G also said in the chat he wants him to hit 30 so people can recognize that he's a dude to keep an eye on. Freddie B responded to that, saying if he goes for 30, Cavs fans going to need knee surgery on Monday. And that is absolutely true. I was thinking about this earlier in terms of Emoni Bates. Like, do you guys play 2K ever? Like, do you guys still play?
Oof, I haven't played 2K since 2007.
I play 2K, Madden, and Call of Duty.
If you're the Cavs next year, if you're playing with the Cavs and Emoni Bates isn't your small forward, like you're playing the wrong way with this team in 2K. Now, 2K doesn't translate to actual basketball, but stylistically, fit-wise, Emoni Bates is the ideal creative player, 2K small forward for this Cavs team. And I got my fingers crossed that he can turn into exactly what they need in a real game as opposed to just 2K. Did that make sense to y'all? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I know. I play 2K. I know exactly what you mean. I would say this. I'm more of a my player guy, so I would technically be the starting three for the Cavs, not Emoni Bates. He would definitely be coming off the bench for me, but he is the ideal build. When you talk about a 2K build, right? You want a guy that's long, lean, that got enough speed to get to the basket, got enough handle to get to the basket, and got a pure jump shot. And I truly believe that, like, man, what is going on here? We trying to do it.
I'm trying to pay attention, Earl, I swear.
But I just like I'm excited to see him play. I know he can go get a bucket. These are things that I think all three of us know. But it's about buying into the team concept. It's about just really seeing him do the little things that a lot of people feel like he cannot do. And those little things will help him make this roster and ultimately help him have an impact on the Cleveland Cavaliers for years to come. You said it yourself, Mike. We talk about second-round picks drafted at 49, and they're not really panning out. But you were the one who brought it to the light. Emoni Bates is not your everyday second-round pick. And this dude has it.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned too he fell in love with the game of basketball. I think that's another thing I'm going to keep an eye on. It's just like his body language when he's on the bench, if they're showing him, when he's on the court. I think it won't tell a lot in one game, but seeing how much passion he plays with is going to be really interesting tonight, especially compared to the highlights that we've looked at like through Tag Board and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean here, how do I want to say this? Second round picks, the percentage of second round picks that pan out 31 through 60 is low.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. The percentage of picks 45 through 60 that pan out is even lower. We went through, Earl, the day after he was drafted, 2 days after he was drafted, I went through the last 10 years of second round picks, and the amount of guys who turned into stars, I think there was 2, Brunson, and I don't even remember who the next one was. Only 3 second-round picks last year, averaged 5 points their rookie season. So when we ever have, when we bring up stuff about Emoni Bates that isn't in the brightest of lights. It's not us hating on him. It's trying to temper expectations for a guy who we all hope and believe he can exceed them, but we don't want to put expectations on him from the get-go that are unfair to him. I mean, I genuinely think it's unfair to look at Emoni Bates right now and be like, he's going to score 10 points a game. Because guess what? The chances of the historical data that's shown us, one rookie's averaged 10 points, or 3 rookies in the last decade have averaged 10 points per game who were drafted in the second round. 3. That's it. That's it. Not 13, not 30, 3. So let's, like, as a collective Cavs nation here, just take a deep breath. Whatever we get from Bates, awesome, and know he's a project. Just know he's a project.
So let me say this in comparison, Anthony, real quick before you go, and I need to chat on this. Boobie Gibson, if you think Boobie Gibson was a solid role player for the Cleveland Cavaliers,
Absolutely.
Give me a 1. And this is why I'm making this comparison, right? Boobie was a second-round pick, had a solid Cavs career, played for the Cavs, I think, 6 or 7 years. You know, if you look at the numbers won't pop out at you. But if you watch the games and you've seen him play, this was a dude who understood how to play the game the right way. This was a guy who would come in, would hit big shots in big moments, you know, and if anybody recall the first time that the Cavaliers made it to the NBA Finals, it was in large part due to his performance against the Pistons in Game 6. And so I understand historically, you know, over many, many years of the NBA, what second-round picks look like and what the numbers of them making it or likely not making it are. But I just think that we're living in a new era with a new different type of play in the NBA. Just everything is different. A lot of these guys that were second-round picks 20, 30 years ago was 4-year seniors out of college, right?
Yeah.
It's not too many guys that's playing in college more than a year.
Yep.
And so for me, I just think that this is a situation for him to, like you said, you don't have too many expectations. There's not too much pressure on you. So just, man, do what you got to do to learn how to be a pro. If he becomes a superstar or a star, great. But I'm telling you, man, everything in me believes that this is a dude that when it's all said and done, at minimum, is going to be a role player in the NBA, whether it be for the Cavs or somebody else for many years to come.
Yeah, I mean, he is a skill set that most don't have. He is 6'9", and he's an elite tough shot maker. And in today's day and age of basketball, bucket getters get paid, and typically they play. That skill set on top of an ounce of seasoning, and we'll call it seasoning, he could be an effective player. He could be an effective player. Like, I don't think anyone looks at this pick and is like, Emoni Bates will never succeed. I just think the expectations off the bat have become a little bit ridiculous. With that being said, I think he drops 20-plus in his Summer League debut tonight because he's a straight-up hooper, and this is a situation where hoopers thrive. And I can't wait to see some of the shots that not only he takes, but some of the shots that he makes. And we're going to see shots tonight, and at Summer League, I don't care, Summer League, this could be playing at Hillcrest Heights YMCA where I play on Thursdays, or it could be at name any gym in the country, whatever. He's going to make some shots that you're going to look to the person sitting next to the couch and go, did you just see that? Was that real? And you're like, yeah, that's real. And guess what? Guys like Jetty can't make that shot. Guys like Okoro can't make that shot. Guys like Lamar Stevens can't make that shot. They do other things that Bates can't do, but Bates can do things today at 19 that they can't. And that's what I think makes Bates such an intriguing prospect moving forward. Literally, I said this to you guys jokingly, but there is no second-round pick the Cavs could have made at 49 that is more exciting than Emoni Bates. 0. Zilch. None. Unless they drafted the future rights to Bryce James's future kids in 30 years. Unless they did that, ain't nobody a more exciting 49th overall pick than Emoni Bates.
Yeah, how many other cities are talking about their second-round pick for 2 weeks straight?
The Cavs had 4 second-round picks last year. Did we talk about them for more than 12 seconds at any point?
Don't think so. Not once.
Nah, but you better believe it. I mean, it's other diehard sports cities that's going crazy over whatever second-round pick they got. They got some potential too. But, I think G brought this up on the show last week. And ever since he said it, it's kind of really just been sticking with me. We talk about JB Bickerstaff and this ability to develop players. everybody talk about guys like Dean Wade, right? Or what Lamar Stevens was able to bring, even Isaac Okoro and Jetty Osman. And G said something that was so accurate. We all know that when it comes to a skill set point of view, right now, Emoni Bates is a better player than them. So this notion that JB can develop those guys or those guys can develop.
Wait, or go back. Say that one more time. You cut out for a sec.
He said that when you look at skill set alone, Dean Wade, like you just said, Okoro, Jetty Osman, Lamar Stevens, they can't do what Emoni Bates can do. So why is it that people have all this faith and JB Bickerstaff being able to coach these guys and develop these guys, and these guys having some type of impact on the Cavaliers, but nobody wants to show faith that Emoni Bates can do the same thing, and he's already a better player than those guys. So it's just, I think it's a weird dynamic when we talk about Emoni Bates, quite honestly. And it's funny because you see a lot of people with a lot of opinions who've never even seen him play. All they hear is the tea leaves. All they do is read the tea leaves and say, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, or he got dismissed from this program. He's 19 years old. This dude is talented, man. You gotta give him a chance, man. You gotta have some faith that this dude can, overcome everything that he's been through and just show who he is.
Can we clear something up though, real quick? Emoni Bates is not a better basketball player today than Jetty Osman. Like, he's not a better overall basketball player today than Jetty Osman. He's not.
This game is about buckets, right?
He's not.
This game is about buckets, right?
He's not.
If they both stepped
he's a better one-on-one scorer than Jetty Osman right now. He's not a better basketball player than Jetty Osman.
If they both was playing in the summer league right now for the Cavs, I guarantee you he will have more points than
yes, because he's a better scorer than Jetty Osman.
But the point I'm getting at too, like, if you know that this dude has a skill set that's better than a lot of these guys that was on this roster, why is it that this notion out there that it's going to take him forever to develop, or he won't even develop? But people have faith that JB Bickerstaff can develop these other guys that just left.
And I'll let you hop in one sec. And this is going to come off as, listen, I like Emoni Bates. Earl and Anthony will tell you, like, I'm all on the Bates bandwagon. I don't think it's a lack of faith in JB. I think it's a lack of trust in Bates being willing to change the way he's played basketball for 19 years.
So I actually have a counterpoint. I think it is a lack of faith in JB a little bit.
Well, I think it's part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, we looked and we blamed a lot of that series on him and a lot of the problems on him and the development and of Evan Mobley on him. Rightfully so. And we haven't seen Evan take a big step forward yet. So it's like, why do we think he can do it with Emoni? I don't know why anybody thought he could do it with Lamar and all them, but I can see where people are hesitant. And I mean, this whole season, all eyes are on JB.
Yeah. And listen, JB has developed guys. Look at Garland. I mean, I know Garland was a top 5 pick, but Garland from his rookie year to now is a night and day player. Even Jared Allen, the guy they got from Brooklyn 3 years ago or 2 years ago, going on their third year, has gotten better. They haven't found a guy like Max Strus, who they've turned from nothing to something. And Bates could be the diamond in the rough that they have found, that they've polished off and turned into a star. So I think they've done a decent job developing role guys. Listen, role guys are hard to find in the league. Like, you look across the board, very few teams, and Miami's the exception because they're Jedi mind tricks, that they're playing, chess and checkers combined in a sport where everyone else is just playing tic-tac-toe. Like, I don't get how they do this on a year-to-year basis. Look how many guys in their roster have gone through the G League for a few years. But those guys also take time. I mean, Max Strus, this was his 4th year in the league. Gabe Vincent spent 3 years in the G League before coming to the NBA. Duncan Robinson spent 2 years in the G League and then 2 years as the 12th man in Miami before he made a real impact. Udonis Haslem didn't come in as a rookie, and this was 20 years ago, but Pat Riley was still there. Guys come in and take – some guys need time to develop, and it's hard, especially for guys who are drafted later, to get the opportunities they need when it takes time, if that makes sense, which is why the G League has become such a pivotal point. And I think that's where Bates plays most of the season, because he's going to need as many reps as he can running in the offense, not being the 5th guy playing off ball with Garland and Mitchell. Like, that's not a knock on anything with Bates.
Let me ask you a question based off what Anthony said. Do you believe, or this is for the chat too, he said part of this is lack of faith in JB. Let's say Eric Spoelstra was the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Would you have more faith in Emoni Bates' development? Would you have more faith in him overall reaching his potential?
Yeah. But look at the track record. And
I guess the point I'm making is, so if it's not more so lack of faith in Bates being able to change how he played basketball by having the right coach that can teach him how to change the way he played basketball, then maybe the Cavs need to consider a different coach.
Hey, we've had this conversation on and off air. I am not the biggest JB Bickerstaff fan. I thought it was unfair to put last season on him, but I also think it's unfair to say JB was without fault last year. I thought their offense was stagnant. I didn't think he made enough adjustments, and I don't think he's done a phenomenal job at maximizing the talent on the roster. I don't care what you say, what you have to do. Evan Mobley needed to take a bigger step from year 1 to year 2, and even if you bring in Donovan Mitchell, who's going to dominate the ball and it's going to take shots away from Mobley, you as head coach find a way to get him more involved and make him more aggressive and make sure he feels more comfortable in whatever offensive system you're doing. So JB is not without fault.
To your point, though, and I totally agree with what you just said, because we all know the roster was flawed. The problem I have is good coaches take a flawed roster and they make it do what they do, right? Yeah. You can get the best out of guys if you're a good coach. We spent most of last season ragging on Isaac Okoro because he cannot hit 3-point shots, right? And ever since he's been in the NBA, there's notions that Isaac is the Cavs 3-and-D guy. But if you actually watch the Cavs play, Mike, you went to a bunch of games. Isaac Okoro is at his best offensively when he's driving to the basket.
Yep.
And if JB Bickerstaff would actually put him or see that to be the case and put him in situations to where he can have more success, then maybe we could have seen a different outcome. But it's just crazy. So yeah, maybe it is a coaching thing, but you got all this young talent. You got all Isaiah Mobley, Sharif Cooper. Now you got Craig Porter Jr. in the mix. You got Emoni Bates. Kobe Altman clearly doesn't have an issue taking chances on young raw talent. The problem is do you got the right coach in place to develop this young talent? Because what I don't want to see is another situation to where we're moving on from guys for whatever reason, a la Kevin Porter Jr., because you don't have the proper infrastructure, head coach down, to help develop this talent and get them where they need to be as far as maturation, et cetera. So,
Kevin Porter Jr. is about to get traded from Houston. So now 2 coaching staffs that haven't been able to figure out how to deal with a guy like Kevin Porter Jr. With Okoro, and this goes back to the whole, does Bates fit into how the Cavs want to play this year? And this is why it comes down, is Bates going to be willing to adapt? Earl, you're right. Okoro's not a good 3-point shooter. Yes, he's gotten better, but his better is still not good enough to be the 3-and-D guy they need at the 3. And he's significantly more efficient offensively, attacking guys off the dribble. All 100% correct. But in the Cavs' high pick-and-roll offense, you don't need a third guy to be a driver. You need a guy to space the floor and shoot, right?
So change your offense if you know you don't have that.
When you bring in a guy like Donovan Mitchell and you have a guy like Darius Garland, do you change your offense to fit your third option on offense, or do you create an offense to accentuate what your 2 best players do best?
I think you create an offense to maximize every single piece of talent that you got on your team. I understand Donovan Mitchell is who Donovan Mitchell is, but you got to also understand that Donovan Mitchell can get the game that he scored 71 points. We won that game in double overtime.
Yeah.
So no matter how much of a walking bucket he is, you still have to consider everybody on this roster. And to Anthony's point, what JB Bickerstaff did not do enough was put everybody in the best situation to have success. And I get it. These are the type of players that you have, but you got to play to your strengths. You got to play whatever they do best.
Their strength is pick and roll, though. It's like saying we have Nick Chubb and we also have Cooper, hopefully Hopkins, Watson, Elijah Moore. Like, we're going to tailor our offense to – that's a terrible example. I got to think of a better example. It's like the Titans. Derrick Henry is your bread and butter, but you also have to do what works in today's NBA. I don't think you could tailor an offense to 5 guys. I don't think even the Warriors, when they were clicking, Draymond Green completely changed his game to fit what the Warriors needed. And that's not the perfect apples-to-apples comparison, because everything's easy when you're playing with Durant, Steph, and Clay, 3 of the best shooters in the world, and the court is so spaced. But for Emoni Bates to fit into how the Cavs play basketball, and you got to remember, they're trying to win. It's different if you're taking a young guy into a team that's not ready to compete. We all agree if the Cavs team don't win at least one playoff series, major failure, right? Are we all on that?
Absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
So
Absolutely.
So I don't think you can change and take the focal point of your offense away from what your two best players do best to fit Isaac Okoro or to fit. I'll use Emoni Bates. He's not. This isn't specifically about him, but this could be for Strus. Like the Cavs shouldn't go just because they have Strus and Niang now. They shouldn't go to a complete motion, run all these pick downs or pin down screens and double back screens just to get Strus 13 shots. Strus's offense has to come within the flow of the offense. And that's why a guy like Bates, and I have the numbers if you guys want to go over them in a sec, he's a ball-dominant, dribble, ISO basketball player. He has to learn how to play within the Cavs offensive system. Now, that could change in a couple of years, and Bates could be the focal point of it, and he could be in that Mitchell or Garland role, because I do think he is extremely talented, and he's really good at using the pick and roll. But right now, he's not better than Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland. And this team is built to win now. So he has to fit in with them immediately if he's going to contribute to the Cavs on opening day.
But don't you think, though, that it's up to JB to make some tweaks? I'm not saying that totally overhaul what you're doing on offense, but the good coaches make tweaks. You just use Draymond Green for an example, and he changed his game to fit what the Warriors do. But Draymond Green also plays for a championship caliber head coach. And I guarantee you that conversations was had about Draymond changing his game that will ultimately help the Warriors win. I just feel like this, man. The best coaches in the NBA, they get the most out of the talent that they have. And even though nobody has an ideal situation, we all know that. There's no team in the NBA that has the most ideal situation.
Nope.
And so if you know that this is your plan of attack because of who your best players are, then you need to have a plan B for when they're not on the court. And then you need to have like just different data and just different things available that can help everybody on this team maximize their talent that will ultimately help the Cavs win. I can't keep giving this man passes because these two guys are the focal point and this guy's not turning into this guy that he doesn't know what to do. This is a situation to where we started off the show talking about there's a lot of young talent that potentially can become bench players or significant role players for the Cavs. And in order for them to become that, JB Bickerstaff and his staff is going to have to, develop these guys and find a way to put them in the best situation to have success.
I
don't disagree with that one bit.
I think this season's going to be a big year. I know, hot take, big year for JB. Real hot take there coming in for me. But if they can't figure it out and they can't spruce this offense up a little bit, I don't know where else you look but him.
Yeah, and listen, and it comes down to a lot of factors. It comes down to, and this is in totality with the Cavs. This isn't Bates, but for Evan Mobley in particular, can the Cavs find ways to make him more aggressive and find at least one thing that he does consistently really well that makes the defense have to react to it? Right now, I don't think Evan Mobley has a single shot or move in his arsenal that when he pulls out, the defense is like, oh, crap. We have to figure out a way to stop this. I don't think he has that yet. Jared Allen definitely doesn't have that. Mitchell and Garland do. And that's why the potential of a guy like Bates is so appealing to this Cavs roster. Their two bigs currently don't have anything offensively that scares you. Bates has the potential to be a guy offensively that scares you. I hope the Cavs develop him properly. I think, do you think he starts the season with the Charge or with the Cavs?
Who, Bates?
Yeah.
I think he starts the season with the Charge. And my reasoning behind that is if you just look at all the moves that was made in the offseason, right? The Cavs is not going to run more than, an 8-9-man rotation at any point during the season.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the lineups will be penciled in, but, Strus will probably start. But, you got Niang coming off the bench. You got Okoro coming off the bench. You got Damian Jones coming off the bench. You got Todd Jerome coming off the bench. And I know I'm missing guys. Karis LeVert, that's 5 guys right there.
Yeah.
And so if you know that he's not going to be in the rotation to get playing time, especially early on in the season, then in order for him to develop his game, he does need to go play for the Cleveland Charge. But I think it would just be simply because of the depth that we have on the bench for at least to start the season.
And
yeah, I think he's going with the Charge as well. When we were originally texting about all of this and talking about our expectations, I'll be excited if I get to see him take the court as a Cav this year. I think with Earl's point, we made the moves that we don't like. He's not an absolute need right this second. I'd rather see him play a full season with the Charge and develop like we want him to develop and kind of learn to fit in with this team.
Yeah, there's a 99.99999% chance he starts the season with a Charge, and that's where I think he should start. He has a two-way contract, so he's going to get his opportunities. I believe it's 10. They get to get called up and down 10 different times throughout the season. He's on a two-way contract, which certainly helps. So I think we will see him make a couple appearances for the Cavs, maybe on the second night of a homestand, back-to-back, call him up, let him play. But he's a guy, and we'll move on to their guys in a second and put a bow tie on the show. But he's a guy that needs minutes, and he needs the ball in his hands to be effective right now. And that opportunity is way more applicable and way more open with the Charge than it is for the Cavs. But I'm excited to see. Earl, I know you said you want to give a stat prediction, but this is a show. This is what we do. Just give me a range. What do you think he ends up with tonight? I put it on Twitter. I'll start. I said 23 points for Bates, 4-7 from 3 free throws, and he ends up shooting 8 of 17 from the floor. 23 points, that was my prediction.
Well, since the boss man, Steve Becker, done kind of forced my hand, I'm going to go 23 points. I'm going to go 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers, and probably shoot 6 or 8 from the free throw line.
I'm thinking he's going to have 28 points, 5 rebounds. I don't think he's going to have any assists and probably 3 turnovers.
I'll be upset if he doesn't have at least 1 assist tonight. I'll actually be upset with him if he doesn't have.
I'm hoping he does, but if I was a better, I would put it on 0.
Now I hear you, but you're gonna watch the game. Now if he hitting dudes wide open and they don't hit the shots, and he with no assists,
no, I mean
you can't get mad at him, Mike.
Yeah, no,
especially if he's making the right basketball play.
Fair, no, fair. Listen, assists are a bit of a flawed stat because you can make the perfect pass and a dude misses a dunk and you don't get. Actually, y'all want to hear a real quick story about a missed assist real quick? So, and this is going back in time, but I was at a elite camp head into my junior year, and my buddy Eli, who I've talked about, who we played together at Emerson, this is actually the first time I met him at this camp. And his teammate, he played at Westtown, which is a highly touted prep school in Philly, and a couple of his teammates actually made the league. And one of the guys he was with was a guy named Lonji. His name's Lonji Yorit, straight out of Nigeria. 6'5", athletic, bouncy as hell. I threw an alley-oop off a pick and roll to him. Perfect pass, and he tried a 360 dunk it. He jumped over, dude, hit back iron. The pass was perfect. Everyone left that game being like, you see how athletic that missed dunk was? Ain't nobody remember the pass. Ain't nobody remember. I to this day, I still see Yorit all the time. And I'm like, dude, that was my chance at a D1 scholarship. You blew it because you missed a dunk. That pass was on the money. And he's like, yeah, man, I should have just reversed it. I shouldn't have 360'd it. Whatever, Longy. I'll never forget that. But yeah, assist a little bit flawed, but I do want to see him make at least an effort to get there. Last thing on Bates. We're going to do a full breakdown of deep dive. I got numbers out the ass on Emoni Bates. You want one good stat, one bad stat for Emoni Bates?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give me the bad news first.
Good or bad? Which one? Good or bad?
Bad news first.
Okay. On pull-up jump shots last year, according to Second Spectrum Sports, Emoni Bates, not on pull-up, excuse me, on shots at the rim. So finishing, this is layups in the paint. He shot just 52%, 52.4%, according to Second Spectrum Sports. That was the 39th percentile. Not a great finisher at the paint. His lack of elite burst and athleticism makes it tough for him to kind of finish over taller defenders. So he's not a great finisher. However, on the flip side, he was phenomenal with his floaters in college. Throughout his 2 years in college, he hit 61% of his what Second Spectrum calls floaters, which are not jump shots, not layups, in that in-between range that isn't a traditional shot. You could call some floaters, some teardrops, all that stuff. Guess what? 62%, according to Second Spectrum Sports. That was in the 89th percentile. Not a great pull-up shooter, a phenomenal float game. Just be careful, or just watch that tonight as you see Emoni Bates in a Cavs uniform for the first time. Max Strus is playing tonight, also making his debut for the Cavs. Thoughts on a pro who just signed a $63 million contract, who was in the NBA Finals like 2 weeks ago, strapping up with all the rookies and second-year players for the Cavs in the Summer League? What do you guys think?
That's easy. That's easy for me. Dude got a bad taste in his mouth. he did not shoot the way he think he's capable of shooting in the NBA Finals. The Finals was just less than a month ago. He still feels some type of way about that performance. You add that with the fact that he's with a brand new team and he just want to get out there and get his feet wet. Maybe he feels like a few of these young guys that's out there, maybe he got some inside information that he's actually going to be playing with one or two of these guys come the regular season. So why not get a head start on it, build some team chemistry, let the Cavs fans see you for the first time in the Cavs uniform. I'm all for it. To be totally honest with you, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad decision. I just think it's weird. A guy who averaged almost 10 points in the postseason last year, playing with the new guys. I don't know. I don't think I could add anything more than Earl of a reasoning behind it. I just, hopefully he doesn't hurt himself or something. I just think it's a weird idea.
So this is why it's good to have friends who matter sometimes. I actually know why he's playing tonight. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because my boy Eli, who I mention all the time, is in Vegas training some NBA guys during Summer League. And Max Strus, before Eli went to the Sixers, he coached with the Heat. Max Strus is also his guy. Max Strus is in Vegas working out and told the Cavs, hey, I'm going to take a half workout today. I want to play in the game tonight, and I don't think he's going to play after tonight. But he was in Vegas. He wanted an extra run, and he's going to play. He's already out there. He's just going to do his thing. He worked out with Eli this morning. He's playing again tonight.
Yeah, hey, I mean, all power to him.
Shoot. What's up, bro?
Hey, G, don't call our show little again.
We'll make hoodies.
Hey, G, don't you dare, bro. Don't you dare, G.
We already got personal.
We already got one hoodie ready to go. We'll make two.
We definitely take that personal, man.
Yeah, so Strus was out in Vegas already working out with a couple trainers, and he wanted a little extra run, so he did a half workout this morning instead of the full workout, and he's going to play tonight. I would not expect a full 40-minute performance from Strus, but he's going to go out there. He's going to get some shots up, try to show Cavs fans exactly what they're getting. And Earl, I do agree with you. I genuinely think he has a terrible taste in his mouth because he did not play great in the finals and wants to get out there and make a few shots. You know how shooters are. We're all weird.
Yeah.
If you miss a few shots, like if I was on last night, but on nights that I miss a couple of shots, I come in Friday morning. You can tell I'm a little pissed off. It sits with you even in pickup. So Strus will be out there for a little bit.
Extra graphics after me and Anthony done. It's like
he's like, hey, I know I didn't tell you we were doing headlines yesterday, but we're doing headlines today. It's all about me. He's gonna be the next D'Angelo Russell, just putting up shots after the show.
I would, dude. We need a hoop at UCSS. We need a 10-foot hoop in the building somewhere. Do you know who's the most mad that Max Strus is playing tonight? Sam Merrill. You know why? Because when your $63 million guy comes in and says, I want all the plays that I'm going to shoot, run for me, guess who ain't getting those shots? Sam Merrill.
He ain't.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, Sam Merrill was on the charge last year. I think he had a cup of tea in the NBA. Maybe he played in a couple of games. I don't know the exact numbers. But he's a guy, third-year pro, known as a shooter. And if I was him, I'm not going to be mad that Strus is coming. Hopefully he could pick his brain and learn a little something, but that is certainly taking opportunities away from him that he could have had in this summer league. I don't know how much I have real expectations for Merrill. Shooters in this situation, it's so hit or miss. You're playing in a weird arena. You're playing in a situation where everyone wants to get their shots up. So a lot of times the extra pass that will be made to you isn't being made because these guys want to score and put some highlights on tape. But I think, Merrill could be a good contributor. I'd expect him to be one of the Cavs' leading scorers in the Summer League.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch tonight. Summer League is my, if I take a vacation during July or I'm in a hotel, this is usually when I would go to Texas, all I would have on in the hotel room is Summer League. It was always a good time to watch.
Sharife Cooper, Earl, you mentioned him earlier. Another guy, just like Emoni Bates, I would say at this point of his career, a little more of a hooper than a basketball player. Cooper also was a top 6 recruit coming out of high school. Was he drafted or did he go undrafted? Do you remember?
I think he went undrafted.
Signed with the Cavs last year. He did have a 45-point performance in the G League last season. The G League also is defense optional. I think they changed it from the D League to the G League because they don't play any D, but it is what it is. Cooper is another guy who at Auburn had a really successful freshman season and then has been trying to make his way to the league. A bit undersized, but also another situation and another guy who should be able to put up points in a hurry tonight for the Cavs. If you're not familiar with Cooper's game, He's a lot of fun to watch. Earl, have you seen many of his highlights? Dude is.
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with Sharif Cooper, man. Very familiar with him. The dude is a baller, straight out baller, and I'm interested to see him play. Interested to see his game grow. So, maybe we'll see him again this year at Media Day. He was a cool dude.
We did talk to him last year. He'll definitely be at Media Day. We definitely got to get a 60 seconds with Bates at Media Day. That will be upcoming for sure. We talked about dudes meshing and playing together. You have a couple dudes on this roster who are straight up hoopers. Cooper, Bates, Craig Porter Jr. I think is a basketball player, but he's a go-getter, a bucket scorer more than anything else. You got a lot of guys that are going to be competing for shots, and I'm interested to see how the Cavs coaching staff kind of staggers rotations to let everybody showcase what they do best.
We'll see what this young staff is capable of.
And one more player we have to mention, Khalifa Diop. I never say it right. It's Diop. That's what I thought. He's the son
of Sagana Diop, who
which makes us all feel old as hell. He told reporters yesterday that if the Cavs want him to stay, he plans on staying, which tells me he thinks he's ready for the NBA. Obviously in a backup role, but he thinks he's ready for the NBA. Also, Luke Travers is expected to play tonight. We talked about him a little earlier. We're touching him one more time at the end. If Diop is ready to play, he should show out and ball out in the Summer League.
Yeah.
If he believes that his time internationally has come to an end because he's maximized his ability to get better overseas, you better come here and ball. And there's only 2 centers on this roster. It is you and a guy I've literally never heard of in my entire life. So, Diop, let me see what you got. 2nd-round pick last year. Let me see what you got.
Hey, last thing, fun fact on that, Diop. Do you know who the Cavs took ahead of the player that was drafted with the very next pick? So basically, they took him over a guy that they should have took. That was the very next pick of the draft. You know who it was?
They took Diop over a guy they should have picked.
Yeah, that was the very next pick.
What year?
Can't remember the year, but I know the player.
Who was the first overall pick in the draft?
I can't remember. I just know where the Cavs were, and I know who was the pick.
What was the Cavs pick? What number?
Cavs had 9 or 10. You know who the next pick was?
This is the least specific.
Yeah, I got no idea.
Question you could. No,
Amari Stoudemire.
Stoudemire?
Amari Stoudemire.
Yeah.
They took Diop over Amari Stoudemire.
Yeah.
Man.
Hey, I remember Diop coming out, unlimited potential. He had all the skills and all the tools and the physicality and the attributes, the wingspan, the quickness, the second jump ability. But some dudes just never put it together. It doesn't matter if you're a top 5 pick, you're a top 10 pick, a first round, a second round. Some dudes just never put it together despite having unlimited potential. Ryan Russillo was talking the other day. This was fascinating. This is off topic real quick, but in the last 10 years, the number of top 10 picks that signed a second contract with a team that drafted them was under 30%. 70% of top 10 picks in the last decade either don't get a second contract or sign it somewhere else. So essentially, you would think if you have a top 10 pick, you want a guy you sign to an extension, right? Like that, would make sense. Or you trade him for another star. So there's a little bit of nuance. But you have a 30% hit rate in the top 10. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Crazy.
I would just like to say that draft year was 2002. Earl, I was 5, so I don't feel so bad that I did not know that. I like making Earl feel old whenever I get the chance.
I don't feel old, though.
Hey, Earl, I see it in the chat, and I just looked it up. It is not Diop's kid.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen it.
I just looked it up. I'll be damned. I thought it was.
Yeah, we got bad information.
Bad job out of us, and shout out to who said that.
It's a bunch of people that said it.
King Bees, not related. My bad. Our bad. Not related.
A couple people said it. Don't sleep. Yeah, it's a couple people.
Happens,
we appreciate that though.
Happens to the best of us. We will be better. I really did think he was, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've heard other people say it and just believed it, but that is not true. We talked about Luke Travers earlier. I see a couple questions about him. I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. Coming over from Australia, he's 6'7", can play the 1, 2, 3, or 4. Not a great shooter, but decent standstill shooter. The thing I'm looking forward to most with watching him play is how quickly he processes information and makes decisions. The dude, theoretically speaking, from everything you've read, I'm not going to lie, I don't watch the Australian Basketball League, the NBL, too often, but everything you read says this guy processes information very quickly and is adept at making decisions on the fly, especially when the ball gets kicked to him, attacking a closeout and finding the open guy. That's what I want to see. I don't think he's going to be a prolific scorer in the summer league and or in the NBA when he makes it this far, but I do think he could be a valuable role piece. And on a team with some guys who are straight scorers, like a Strus Cooper, like an Emoni Bates, like what we think Sam Merrill could be or Craig Porter Jr., you need that fifth guy, that glue guy, to not necessarily feel like he has to score to be effective, to kind of round out and tie everything else together. He's almost a de facto point guard if he's playing with guys like Cooper, Bates, Strus, and a big man, because he's not the guy looking to score, and he can be the guy to create your offense. So I'm really high on Luke Travers. I mentioned him earlier, but he's one of the guys I'm really, really looking forward to watching tonight. They're playing the Nets. I couldn't tell you who's on the Nets Summer League roster outside of their 2 draft picks this year. Let me pull it up real quick. We'll go down through their roster real quick, then we'll wrap up here. Brooklyn Nets Summer League roster. But for anyone that doesn't know, the game is at 8:30 tonight. Okay, you ready for the Summer League roster of the Brooklyn Nets?
Hit me with
Sure.
Adonis Arms. Ever heard of him?
it. No, but I like that name.
It's a good name. Armani Brooks out of Houston.
Most of these guys, most of the summer league people, no idea.
Kennedy Chandler was a first-round pick out of Tennessee last year. Noah Clowney, was their first-round pick this year. David Duke Jr. Played a little bit in the NBA last year. He should dominate the summer league. He actually got minutes for the Nets last year. Roquan Gray, Jordan Hall, Cameron Hankerson, Matt Lewis, Trey McGowans, Nick Perkins, Jamario Pinkett, and Jalen Wilson, who was the guy I thought the Cavs at least would have some interest in with the 49th pick. He ended up going undrafted and signing with the Nets. So that's your matchup tonight. Fellas, anything else you want to get off your chest before we wrap up here?
Nah.
Does anyone in the chat, 3 minutes, anyone in the chat have any questions you want us to answer? It is 6:08. We'll go to 6:11 answering questions. If you got any, drop them. We'll answer them real quick. And then we will wrap up, eat some dinner, and get ready for some summer league hoops. We're going to Cincinnati on Sunday, so I was going to take it easy this weekend. This is the perfect way to spend a Friday night. I'm going to crack a cold one open, order a pizza, and watch some summer league basketball. Which, I said out loud, I sound like a loser, but it's going to be
I'm driving down Sunday to Mohican at 7:30 in the morning, so I feel that. It's going to be an easy weekend.
We got our first question. What is Okuro's trade value? Anyone want to take a stab at that?
If I was a team interested in a defender who I don't have to worry about his 3-point shooting in my lineup, I would offer maybe like a second-round pick for him. I don't think he's worth a lot. I think a lot of what he offers comes in his attitude and his willingness to strive and get better. So I wouldn't offer much for him at this point in his career, but
I think it's little to none.
Yeah, 2 second rounds maybe at max.
If you could get a second-round pick for Okuro, I think it'd be
yeah. Like I don't even know if you would get that.
Like I just mentioned, the stat Russillo said less than 30% of top 10 picks get a second contract with their team. Isaac Okuro's not getting a second contract with the Cavs. Unless he does something spectacular this year and takes a major step forward, but I don't think he ends up getting a second contract from the Cavs. Excuse me. Steve Becker said Jalen Wilson was drafted at 51. All right, so that's 2 picks after Bates, so right in the same range. Another question: what do you guys see the rotation looking like for the first few months of the season? Earl, you nailed it before. You want to repeat it for our guy here if you missed it? This is from Sam.
Talking about the Cavs rotation?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that JB Bickerstaff, he got plenty of options. I think that you can get real creative. You can play Evan Mobley at the 5 sometimes. I know a lot of people is kind of shaky on that, but George Niang, man, and his ability to stretch the floor and be a consistent because being able to knock down shots consistently, I think opens up a lot of different things. You know, you could put him and Strus out there together, and what adding shooters does is it unclogs the paint. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell is best when they're slashing, getting to the basket, creating shots and things like that. And I think they'll be able to have more success doing what they do best. But ultimately, like, you got guys that can play off the foundation. A lot of people like to use the word core. I don't. I think that when you're building anything, you start with a foundation. And the foundation here is Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and Donovan Mitchell. So if you got shooters now that you can get more creative with, and you can add more elements to your offense than what you were able to do last year.
Yeah, Earl nailed it. I got time for 3 more. This next one's from Book a Dog. Is Bates Mitchell's replacement if traded? This is what I'm saying. Let's just pump the brakes on Emoni Bates until we actually see him play before calling him the replacement for a guy who just made all NBA second team. Let's just pump the brakes. Let's let him make the Cavs opening day roster first. I don't think he was drafted to be the replacement. I think he was drafted with the hopes of becoming a star, knowing very well that the odds are stacked against him. It doesn't mean he can't overcome them, but I don't think he is penciled in as the Mitchell replacement if they trade him. The guy they get back in said trade, and/or Darius Garland, will be the guy. And we've all said this before, but Evan Mobley will be the best player on a championship team for the Cavs. And speaking of Mobley, and I'll let you answer this one first, is Allen stunting Mobley's growth? Would the Cavs be better with a type of small ball lineup?
Actually, yeah, I think so. I think playing Mobley at the 5 and allowing 4 shooters to be around him gives him so much more room to breathe and actually develop his game that it could be a huge help for him. I don't think Allen is hurting him, but the fact that it's like everything gets so clogged up, how does he develop like that? You know what I mean?
Earl?
Like, he can't develop those moves when he's got Allen breathing down his neck that whole time.
I don't think Allen's hurting him. I think the way JB Bickerstaff is constructed the lineups is hurting him, right? If Allen was somebody that was coming off the bench, it wouldn't be a problem at all. The thing is, you can't have a front court with 2 guys who can't shoot the ball, consistently. And so I wouldn't say he's hurting him, but I think that more that you have lineups with featuring him and Allen in the front court, I think that it doesn't showcase either one of them in the best way. And so the ideally, how I see it, if Jared Allen is going to be here, that you're playing one of them at the 5 with Niang at the 4. I don't see too many situations to where you're going to have both of them in a lineup together outside of just starting the game.
Yeah, in the regular season, it's different than the postseason. My one concern, if Mobley becomes your full-time 5, we keep talking about how much he needs to bulk up. 82 games, having to defend centers as opposed to being the help side guy in the block just takes a toll on your body. And if we're already worried about him being frail and lasting a season at power forward, I'm just not sure he's ready to physically take the responsibility of being the full-time center. So, yeah, I guess you could say Allen is stunting Mobley's growth, but I think it's more on JB not finding ways to utilize him. And I think it's also on Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland for not making a more conscious effort to get him involved. And last one, would you trade Allen for DeAndre Ayton? My answer is no. Ayton is making a stupid amount of money, and I don't think he's that much better than Allen. So in a vacuum, is Ayton a little better? Yes. Based on contracts, I'm not doing that trade. Would you guys?
I would take a center that's overall probably not as good as Jared Allen, but has a skill set that's better than Jared Allen that complements Evan Mobley more, if that makes any sense at all.
No, it did. Ayton, I mean, he's a better shooter than Allen, but he's not like a shooting threat. He's still more of an interior big. So,
like, I don't need somebody with a big name or a big contract. Just give me somebody with the correct skill set that can complement Evan Mobley. And he can be a guy that's making, got a contract for 40, 50 million as opposed to 100 million. It doesn't have to be somebody that's outlandish.
Well, I see it in the chat real quick, but Cat would be literally the perfect center with Evan Mobley. Like a Cat Mobley pairing, which once again would never happen, but that is the ideal situation to put a big next to Evan Mobley, where Mobley could be your primary shot protector or rim protector, shot blocker. And then offensively, he's the only guy in the paint. Cat's a prolific three-point shooter. But it's never going to happen because Karl-Anthony Towns is on one of the biggest contracts in the NBA. And to get him, you'd have to give up way too many assets, which we know the Cavs don't have. That'll be a wrap for the second edition of the Behind the Glass Cavs pregame show. At least today it was. We'll be doing this about once a week, covering a number of topics. Earl, this was your first one. Did you have some fun?
Yeah, it was great. Just make sure that everybody go to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show's YouTube page, subscribe, all that good stuff. So yeah, it was great, man. I got a lot of work I still need to take care of, and I got a 4:30 a.m. shift. So while y'all enjoying the game, I ain't no going to bed. I still got work to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say take a nap. You got 2 hours for game time, so
yeah. So
take a little power nap. We will be back on Monday with all your recap. 8:30 tonight, NBA TV, also on ESPN Plus. And for that, Anthony, Earl, I'm McNuggets. We'll see y'all Monday.